Hey everybody, welcome back to another edition of Rapid Recap. He is Steve Marek, he is Greg Smith, I'm Zach Carpenter, and we had another busy day this week. Mickey Joseph and Casey Thompson, Travis Vokalek, and who was the third guy who we met with yesterday? Trivia time.
Chris Kolarovic?
Chris Kolarovic, there we go. The game breaker from
24-hour rule for us around
Oh,
here,
yeah.
too. It happens, you flush it, it's gone.
I was just trying to figure out who was the third guy. Oh, yeah.
The guy who blocked the punt.
Yeah, the guy who
There you
blocked
go.
the punt and turned the game around for the Huskers on Saturday. And then we met with Bill Busch and Mark Whipple today. Boys, I wanted to kind of recap Mickey Joseph first because yesterday it was kind of interesting that it feels like he's sort of settling into this role, right? I know that I think this was his third or fourth press conference leading up to a game, and that first one was obviously as tension-filled as it could have been or should have been leading up to the Indiana week or leading up to the Oklahoma game, that is. But did you guys get a sense that he was sort of settling in?
I think he's more comfortable in front of the mic. I think he's more comfortable on the sidelines. He was getting after some players against Indiana, the ones that kind of had the screw-ups, especially Turner Corcoran. Got ejected. Haven't seen that a lot. From
Don't see that often.
No, not at all. But, yeah, I think after the game he really kind of opened up and was very honest like he always has been, and that's refreshing. I don't think he kind of messes around. Whenever he gets a question, he's very direct in his answers, and that's very refreshing, kind of opposite of Scott Frost in that way. So, yeah, I think he's definitely getting used to the position, and that's to be expected. I mean, when you're thrown into the fire like he was, obviously there's going to be a transition period. But, yeah, I definitely think he's getting more comfortable.
And speaking of refreshing, this is something Greg and I wanted or talked about yesterday, so I want to kind of tee you up for this, get your thoughts out there. I mean, he talked about, and I thought this was the most important part of Tuesday's press conference, and Greg, you were saying the same thing, of when he was talking about how Casey Thompson was benched and then they brought him in, or benched, or whatever phrase you want to use. I say benched because
he was benched. He was benched.
What happened?
He was benched.
And then he came into the office and talked to Mickey about it on Monday, about the entire situation. Casey said, I don't want to sit out any plays. And Mickey was pretty much allowing him to vent, and then he explained why they took him out. It's just, he didn't say the words open door policy, but it pretty much is Mickey, again, like you said, refreshing difference, pretty much an open door policy with his players.
Yeah, I thought that was very important because he also went on to say that, he has to coach Casey hard the same way that he's going to then coach and treat everyone else. And everyone is going to be coached hard, but also everyone is going to have the ability to come in and talk to him whenever they would like to about whatever's going on, and they can have that dialogue. I think it was a great thing for him not only to say out loud, but to actually be putting into practice. It wasn't just a hope and a wish. One day we'll do that. This is actually already going on. And I think those are the types of things that are part of why you saw such kind of jubilation after the game when they won that game in the locker room in that video with Trev Alberts. I think that all of that goes into the kind of, I don't want to say the word culture, but there is no other really way to kind of describe it, but that culture kind of starting to go in the right direction under Coach Mickey Joseph.
Yeah, when you have that level of respect and pride in your head coach and you want to go out and play for him, I mean, Garrett Nelson said it after the game, I love Mickey to death, and he's maximizing his opportunities. So when there is that love and respect, I think it just opens up a better communication line and less pressure. Like, we talked about so much pressure. I think we've used that word so many times to describe this season coming in. Greg, you have a fly on your hat that's distracting the hell out of me right now. All right,
it's still there.
It's gone, but it's going to be like the Breaking Bad
this
episode
entire time. Like, it only has been coming towards me.
The flies are quite large at Memorial Stadium.
Be a fly on the wall, I guess, for that Trev Alberts giving the football to Mickey on Saturday night. It was a big moment, and it just feels like, I know we used the phrase renewed sense of energy, but it was that way going into the Oklahoma game. And then Chris Kolarovic talked about it on Tuesday. The Nebraska had 16 games going into Indiana, 4 wins that were all blowouts, 11 losses that were all by one possession or 9 points or fewer, including 10 one-possession games. So to actually pull out a close win, just sort of kind of released a pressure valve, like I said, right?
It shows that they can actually do it. I forget which player it was. It was probably Chris, but yeah, I mean, this group needed that win for sure, and it was just good to see. I think everybody can agree that the vibes were good in Memorial Stadium on Monday, and especially today too. So, yeah, and it was just kind of a monkey off the back moment for this program, and now they got to try to carry it into a short week and with a Friday game at Rutgers.
Yeah, and Bill Busch actually talked about that as well too, right? He was talking about how happy he was for the team. Mickey Joseph mentioned it, but Bill also said today in his press conference with us that it wasn't something that they talked about. It wasn't like, oh, here comes the fourth quarter, like let's do something different than we haven't done before because you guys have been in a bunch of close ones. He said that he was really happy with how they just kind of kept fighting and pushing, and then eventually got the W and pulled away.
Yeah, what Bill Busch said today that was really interesting was, especially on the field with the defense, something that he helped the players do is get the calls in quickly, but also he did a lot of same, he called it. And same was, using the exact same defensive call as the play before. And he thinks that kind of settled the guys down, gave them a chance to breathe, relax. And, if Indiana had a good play that hit, so be it. We're going to come back the next series or the next play and do it again. But so I thought that was kind of interesting from Bill Busch. It goes along with the simplifying everything that he was talking about and letting the players play fast and not coach the athleticism out of them, like Mickey Joseph has said.
I think I'm going to put simplified up there along with the key buzzwords of pressure and of this season, because that's what we talked about so much leading up to the Indiana game. I think we're going to talk about it plenty leading up to the Rutgers game.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think they played cover 1 or cover 3 most of the night, or at least showed those looks, which are the two simplest defenses you can run. And I think we've seen that make a big difference in just making sure that everyone can go and play fast instead of just thinking about 8 different things, which on defense, if you're thinking about 8 different things, and you're thinking about too many things. And Bill Busch, like you said, he met with us today. What was sort of another key takeaway? I know you were asking him about Malcolm Hartzog, Steve.
Yeah, Malcolm Hartzog. Bill Busch said a really cool comparison. Baron Miles. He said Malcolm Hartzog reminds him a little bit of former Husker All-American Baron Miles. And he said the best thing that Malcolm brings to the defense is his tackle ability. Now, Malcolm did get burned on one run. It was just him and Miles Farmer both on the same play. That kid is electric, the Indiana's true freshman.
Nice play.
Yeah, it was an incredible run. That guy's got jukes all over the place. But yeah, he said that he loves the way Malcolm is not afraid of anything. He's 5'9". He's one of the smaller guys on the field, but he's not afraid to stick his face in the fan, which has been a popular saying for the past 2 days here. Yeah, I know, it's a very cool
Bingo
saying.
card.
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, and then his coverage skills are coming along as well. He moves well. He flips his hips. He does all the cool things that you want to see with corners.
Press man.
Yeah, absolutely. And
We saw that.
go watch the
Often
game.
fans been wanting to see that,
Go watch
right?
the game and see the cushion that was not there from Nebraska's corners. We are used to 5 and 6 yards of cushion and quarterbacks just sitting, okay, I'll just throw it out there and gain 5 or 6 yards. That was not there against Indiana. It was very much a more aggressive defense from Bill Busch, and he basically challenged Connor Bazelak, Indiana's quarterback, to beat him, and he didn't. I mean, Connor was kind of inaccurate and up and down, and it wasn't a very good performance from Indiana's offense. So credit to Nebraska's defense and having athleticism to kind of make them beat us, and Indiana did not. So.
And then to sort of bring things full circle, Mark Whipple, we also talked with him, and we talked about that open door policy with Mickey. I think one of the underlying storylines from Saturday night's game that could have been a much, much bigger deal than it was Casey Thompson holds onto the ball too long, takes a sack on what Whipple called today a missed touchdown opportunity. I can't remember. He just said he missed a potential touchdown.
Trey Palmer had beaten his man down the field, and it was
Trey Palmer.
Yeah,
Trey Palmer.
in Whipple's opinion of would-be touchdown, but as you said, Casey Thompson a little indecisive, held on to the ball. It was a 3rd and 2, which also is difficult to take a sack on, and then came off the field and just got absolutely ripped into by Mr. Whipple.
And then Casey could have made that situation a lot worse if he didn't handle it the way he did, because he handled it like a pro. He took it on the chin. He didn't start yelling back or clapping back or anything. He kind of just he took his medicine. He sat out that series, came back, and you could see that there was a little bit of shakiness, I think, just in shirt.
For that next drive, for sure. Yeah.
And then he settled in, and like Whipple said, he came back, he responded, he played well. And on Monday, that's what I was getting at, is Casey came into Whipple's office or wherever they spoke, and they had a conversation about it, and they said they came to a mutual understanding about everything. So I feel like that's another impactful moment as far as like moving this team forward, right?
Yeah, and Casey also mentioned that he liked that. Like, that was another thing, like, when you say that he handled it well, like he did, he took it, and then he didn't, kind of throw Whipple under the bus during the press conference, and in fact, then went a step further and said he likes to be coached that hard. He's used to that. His dad, that fly is back. His dad.
These are the podcast moments that you sometimes see, sometimes don't.
Yeah, like, it'll be fascinating as people laugh at this.
Like Steve sweating bullets when it was 95 degrees one time, and it was so bad that the camera, the lost files of the Inside Nebraska podcast, because the camera got fried because it was so hot, and Steve's just tripping.
But he likes to be coached that hard. His
Steve
dad
likes
has
to be
done
coached
that
hard
as
too.
well.
I do.
Steve is being coached hard as well.
Yes.
I like it. Everybody likes to be held accountable. But that also goes to a bigger point with this doggone fly. A bigger point that I think that this team is actually hungry for that. And I think that Casey kind of embodies that situation where I think the team is ready to be led in a different way. And I think that they're responding in the quick aftermath of the frost fire.
And one cool thing that I thought Mark Whipple, who was very open and honest today, said, he thinks that he gets more out of his players from being a dick rather than being just a nice guy and being passive. And that's a direct quote. He did say that word. That's just not me saying that word.
Would you ever say that in real life? Of course you wouldn't.
No, of course not. Never. Yeah. No, I've never said that phrase in my life. But yeah, just Mark Whipple kind of opening up and showing that fire on the sideline. It can be good, it can be bad, but I think for this team this season right now and what they're trying to accomplish, they're tied for first place in the Big Ten West. I think having that fire and being the bad guy kind of is good for them.
One last thought is I think it's kind of crazy that despite all this turmoil after everything, Nebraska is in the middle of the Big Ten West race and has a chance to get to Indy.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's wild to think about, but yes, we have to kind of start saying that until, things go further off the rails. Like, they are in the race, and I think that that's a really important thing for this team, because we talked about it amongst ourselves the last couple of weeks that, man, this thing could really go sideways on them, but they have something to really play for, and it's really something that is going to be fascinating to see unfold.
Yeah, they have something to play for in a season that looked like it was going to go quickly toward the side of, this is just a lost season, let's pack it in. And now other than pride, they're football players, so of course they're not going to pack it in. I didn't mean to suggest that, but just I think mentally it could give them that extra edge of, boys, we got a title to play for.
Yep.
And obviously it has to be said that much of that is a product of the Big Ten West being parity-filled and kind of a mess right now, but it doesn't matter.
No, that would be even being in the race. In a couple of weeks from now, we're still talking about them being in the race. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
And I hate to bring up it's a winnable game quote from, I think, Frost maybe in his first season, but this is a winnable game. It's going to be a hard-nosed, tough, physical Rutgers team that they're playing, but it is a winnable game. Their offense is kind of struggling a little bit. It's a defense that is going to hit you. There's going to be a lot of bruises after this game. It's going to be a big old, a nice old Big Ten football game, but it is winnable, and it will be something if Nebraska, they beat Indiana and they go and win again, back-to-back Big Ten games that are wins. That hasn't been done here in a long time, and if they do that, things are going to be looking up around here.
Trivia time. You guys know when the last time that Nebraska won 2 straight Big Ten games?
No.
I would say that. Okay, do you know?
I know because I looked it up.
Okay, good.
I'm going to say 2017. I'm going to say 2017.
2018.
Okay.
November 10th and
Frost's
November
first year.
17th. They beat Illinois. It was I think 54-35.
And then the Michigan State game?
9-6.
9-6. That really cold. I think
it was
just complete.
Ty Robinson's official visit day from Arizona.
Is that the one that sealed the deal for Ty Robinson?
I guess.
Who had a great bounce back game.
He had a great game, by the way.
Ty Robinson. I'm glad we talked about him. Really great game out of that guy. And Bill Busch said that he has more in him, and he told him that before the game. And Busch was excited to see that extra little something come out of Ty Robinson. So good to see.
Yep. So he'll be looking for a bounce back game or another second straight solid performance. So Luke Reimer, who again great bounce back game, he was much maligned, and he was excellent on Saturday, and so was the defense as a whole.
Defense as a whole. Yeah.
Yeah, they were. I mean, they were fantastic with all the stats that we've mentioned before, and Bill Busch talked about it again today. But yeah, they're looking for a win streak in the Big Ten for the first time in almost 4 years exactly, and they're Nebraska's favorites again. They're 3-point favorites as of the recording of this, and the over-under is 48.5 points. First time since the Northwestern game that's been lower than 61.5 points. So like you said, Steve, expecting a tough Big Ten football game.
Yeah, I just see this game, and it's going to be low scoring. There's going to be a lot of bumps and bruises on both sides. So we'll see how it goes.
Kind of what you expect going up against Greg Schiano and Rutgers. So I think they know what is in store for them. They know what's at stake in the Big Ten West race, and it's the next step in a hope to get to Indianapolis. But that's far down the road. You have to go 1-0 this week, like the team keeps saying, and we will be there. Steve and I will be traveling to Piscataway for a Friday night in Piscataway, New Jersey, New Brunswick, New Jersey. So be sure to follow us there, nebraska.rivals.com for your written coverage, and the Inside Nebraska YouTube channel for all of our digital content. And we will be back here again tomorrow, Thursday morning, with another edition of Bold Predictions, and I'm going to get to do some bragging a little bit over a couple of these guys and Jeff. So keep it locked in here, and we'll see you the next time.